Oh, I'm like, that is so intimidating.
Good afternoon to everybody today. Want to make sure that you're hearing Shelby speaking on the speaker. So, I'd like to welcome you to the District 3 meeting tonight. Rachel Green running our audio visual and presenting with our agenda tonight. Before we get started tonight, you want to make sure that we have anybody on Zoom and make sure people are coming in.
Yes, we do have 2 on Zoom. I'm just double checking with them to make sure they can see and hear okay.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, well, there you go.
Yes.
And I honestly have completely advocated the agenda for this evening. Things, way too many things going on right now. I've been monitoring some couple of developments that are coming into the area and some other neighbors that have been asking for ordinance changes and for rezoning, and so we're still trying to keep up on that from our last meeting. And so Rachel, we'll start off then with the Woodland urban interface with the police department, and remind me your name.
Lynn Schofield.
Lynn. Nice to meet you, Lynn. Turn this time over to you, and you'll talk to us about fire.
All righty. Well, thank you. Welcome, everybody. It's good to see you here tonight. Can't see you out there in the internet sphere, but welcome. So we're going to talk about the wildland urban interface. So the wildland urban interface, we have it all over Provo. A lot of people think that our biggest wildland urban interface is on the east side where mountains come down into the city. And they're right, that is probably our #1 most concerning wildland urban interface. But we have wildland urban interface everywhere in Provo. So go ahead and hit me with my next one. So tonight what we're going to talk about is what is the WUI, wildland urban interface, what's defensible space, and why do we need it? Those are the 3 things we're going to accomplish in the 15 minutes that you have to suffer through me. All right, get me together. So the wildland urban interface is anywhere where development intersects with undeveloped land. All right, so again, the most obvious place is the East Bench, where we go up against the mountains. But if you drive around the city, you'll find the same thing on the west side, down by the lake, with the really wonderful phragmites. As you drive around through the city, it's been over by Lions Park. I don't remember this neighborhood or this district covers.
We're west side, and our largest interface will be on the southwest side of the highway.
Okay,
And all of the undeveloped areas, you would even consider some of our agriculture
yes,
properties.
absolutely, absolutely. So some of them, so you get down close to the lake, you get all those really fruit-bearing Russian olive trees. Again, out in the phragmites, that would all be considered wildland urban interface. And so the interface is, the interface has the ability to take fire into the residential areas, so where buildings are and people are. And so that's why, as the fire department, we have some concerns about that. So we're working throughout the city to mitigate our wildland urban interface situation. Go ahead and hit me again. So just some brief information. Every spring, starting last year, we hire 6 seasonal full-time employees that work on our fuels crew. They're our wildland urban interface fuel mitigation specialists. And they spend from the 1st of May till the middle of August, when it's time to go back to school, working with us to go out and carry out various mitigation projects throughout the city. Wherever we have WUI, we have the ability to go out and put them to work within the parameters of the program. So the big thing that we're trying to do is we're trying to create some defensible space, and we're trying to reduce the amount of fuel that carries fire up into the residences. So if you look at this picture, you have a before and an after. So the before shot is the house over here. You see there's just a whole bunch of that gamble oak and tall grass that's going up there. And right now, is that a big problem? Probably not, because it's pretty green up there. Now, in about 3 weeks, is that gonna be a big problem? It's gonna be a bigger problem. All right, so that's in its natural state. They haven't done any work there. And then the house on the right, the homeowner has actually gone in and they've removed some of the oak, they've cut down the grass. And they've made it so that the fuel doesn't bring the fire up to their house. They've taken away that ladder into their house. And that's what our purpose of our mitigation work is. Hit me again. So, go ahead.
Back to that second house, he's still got a big tree there right by the house.
He does, and it's still a work in progress. They're still going to limb that up. So we're trying to alleviate what we call ladder fuels. And so he's taking away the low stuff and some of the medium stuff. And so as they continue on, and the mitigation work is kind of a long process. We'll actually limb that tree up so that it is, tell us about 10 feet off of this roof line.
When you say we, that's your,
That's the homeowner will help them, we'll give them instructions, and then if they fall in within what we've identified as our interface zones, then we come and chip up the trimmings. That's how we participate.
This is actually an interesting question, and I'm sorry, photo. How do you balance the, between fuel reduction and erosion control?
Good question. We were just up at the Timpview draw last night. That's a big question for that hillside of Timpview High School.
Right.
And so you do have to balance that. So we don't want to take all of the fuel away because some of those root systems is what holds the soil in place. What we want to do is we want to reduce the amount of fuel so that we have little islands. So the root systems are still holding the soil in place, but I don't have this great big fuel package that if I catch an ember, all of a sudden is, throwing 30 or 40 foot flame lengths. So they're very good question. But there is a balance. It is a balance. We don't want to, we're not gonna come through with a bulldozer and a chain and take it right down to the mineral earth because that creates other issues. Okay. All right, hit me again. So what we're trying to do is create defensible space. And so for your district, this is what we wanted to spend most of our time talking about tonight is defensible space. Anywhere where you live in a place where you can have wildfires, whether it's a wildfire that's caused by somebody dropping a cigarette in the phragmites or a cigarette up on the mountainside in the oak, you have the possibility of that fire being able to spread throughout. And we'll show you a video in just a minute. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to create defensible space. Ideally, we would have a 30-foot green zone right around your house where things are green. You don't have ladder fuels that are going to carry the fuel to your structure. And then you go out another 70 feet and you make those smaller pockets of fuel packages like your trees. And you really work hard on eliminating ladder fuel. So when I talk about ladder fuel, I start grass on fire, the grass starts the oak on fire, the oak starts the spruce on fire, the spruce starts the ponderosa pine on fire, the ponderosa pine either spreads to my house or throws off 1,000 embers that are going to blow out of the wind forever and drop little pockets of fire all throughout my community. So those are the ladder fuels that we're trying to eliminate or we're trying to mitigate. We're trying to reduce them so that we keep small fires small, so they don't get very big. All right, and I believe there's a handout in the back for you to take that actually has that diagram on it for you. Go ahead and hit me again. All right. Hey, hit me again. So that's our purpose of coming to meet with you folks tonight. You do have areas of wildland over in their face over on the west side. Certainly not necessarily as scary as the ones up on the east side right now. And so as a fire department, we're working to start doing some fuel mitigation throughout the city. We're going to work with our highest risk and work our way away from that, because that seems to make the most sense. So one of the other things that our fuels crew does is we send them to help us create fire breaks. A fire break is something that's going to stop the progression of a wildland fire. So this picture was taken in August of last year. So this picture is taken up by just south of the Rock Canyon Trailhead, Rock Canyon Park. I think it's 1500 or 1550 east is the road that's just a little bit to the left. So on this night in August, we had an electrical event at this set of power poles right here. We haven't fully determined exactly what the electrical event was, but it dropped some sparks down into the grass just beneath the power pole. But our fuels crew twice a year goes the entire length of the Bonneville Shoreline Trail, the public access Bonneville Shoreline Trail, and they use string trimmers to cut the grass down just above the ground, 6 feet off of the trail, the entire length of the Bonneville Shoreline Trail. So in August last year, when we had the sparks come off the power pole and start the grass on fire, that fire ran the hillside right up to the path you see is the Bonneville Shoreline Trail. And so what has occurred in this is that it was a very good, and it was a fast moving fire, but the work that the fuel mitigation crew had done stopped the fire cold in its tracks. We call this the $1 million picture because we're humbled. This is actually a multi-million-dollar stop, because had they not cut the grass, you would have had that ladder fuel that would have carried across to the other side of the trail. And I can tell you, I've watched it happen probably a dozen times in my career here in Provo. It only takes about 15 minutes for the fire to run from the base of the mountain until it cliffs out at the top of the mountain, anywhere along the front. So this particular fire, we call it the $1 million stop, actually a multi-million-dollar stop, because we never got it to the base of the mountain. It stopped cold because we created that defensible space. So that's what our encouragement is, to take a look around your property, talk to your friends in the neighborhood, and start looking at ways you can harden your home, do some defensible space. I have a really good contact for you. Go ahead and hit me again. Captain Jeannie Atherton, she is our community risk reduction specialist, and she actually is the person in charge and runs our wildland urban interface program. And she's not here, so you can call her anytime you want. All right. I'm just kidding. She told me she wasn't going to be here. But she, like I said, this is the second year of the program. It's going really, really well. We've had a lot of success. We appreciate the time coming out and visiting with you tonight. Captain Atherton will be happy to work with you in your neighborhood if you have questions. And now I have breathe your air. So.
Thank you. Now, I think there's a number where they can call her to see if your home is within that area where you do the chipping program. Is that correct?
Yes. So just give her a call at that office number, and there may be a QR code on the flyer.
Okay.
QR codes, we call those signs when I was a kid. The state of the data that was you looked at it as you drove by. But now they have these things that you flash with your phone like Men in Black, and you forget everything. So, but I think there's a QR code on the flyer. If not, we'll make sure you have that for your next meeting. But certainly you can call Janine. She's wonderful. We're glad to have her as part of our team. And that will tell you if you're in the fuel mitigation zone that we're targeting right now. We'll come and help you however we can. There are some places where we have a little bit more resource because of how we're funded. So I appreciate the invite.
Okay,
So
thank
you'll
you.
assist people that are trying to mitigate that 30-foot distance and limb out some of your trees and.
Yeah, so we will provide you some information that'll help you determine how to do that. Now, we can't come and do any of the work for you. The best thing that we're able to do is sometimes we can haul your fuel off because we can ship it off and take it up to yard waste. But we certainly can come and provide you with information and we can tell you some resources that are available even in your neighborhoods. Actually, we've had really good success. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Very helpful. Had thought about that, like I was telling you, I have my backyard grows like a weed and I got a black oak that is taking over my backyard and providing plenty of fuel underneath it. Now we've got a presentation by UDOT about, the repaving on, now that's what it, with regards to repaving on Center Street.
Right.
And how Center Street is gonna be closed. Who's presenting on that? Okay. Thank you. And you're the one that I got the email from.
Yeah.
Great.
So thank you for the opportunity to come and share a little bit of information about our project. This is a pavement preservation or renewal project on Center Street. I don't know if you can, if you could maybe scroll so they can
You
see
want to
the
see
map.
this one first or the other one?
This one is.
Is this one okay?
oh,
Or is the other one better?
the map, yeah.
Oh, okay, let me bring up the other one.
So what we have is along Center Street between Geneva Road and 500 West, we will be removing 1 inch of the surface of the pavement and replacing it with new pavement. And in addition to that, there are about 24 pedestrian ramps that border along Center Street in this stretch that will be replaced as a part of this project. You will see this work. It had originally, when I put this out, it said that the work would be starting next Monday. I think they pushed that to about Wednesday or Thursday. Because the first thing that happens is the concrete crews come in. They tear out the pedestrian ramps that are being replaced. And then they'll put new concrete ramps in place. And then in about 2 or 3 weeks after that concrete work is done, then they'll start doing the paving. Now the paving is all nighttime work. And so that takes place from 9 p.m. at night until 7 in the morning. So really, if you're looking at this from an impacts perspective, the impacts will be quite minimal. Unless you live right on Center Street, and then it'll be a little bit noisy when the paving crews are coming by, chewing up that top inch of asphalt, and then as they're placing the new asphalt now. But even that is a moving operation, which I don't know if you've ever had the opportunity to watch one of those, but they move along fairly quickly. So if it was going by your house, you might hear them for about 30 minutes. Yes.
Is there any plans from 1600 West to Geneva to widen that to 4 lanes?
Not as a part of this project. So, and unfortunately, my knowledge is limited to this project. UDOT is a pretty big organization, and I'm not on the planning side of things, but yeah, so for this project, it's just replacing the pedestrian ramps and renewing the asphalt surface. There is one other thing that will take place right around where 1600 West is. There's a Shell station there. We're going to be open trenching more or less across the street about where that Shell station is for a storm drain pipe that will go in. We won't close the road down entirely. What we'll do is we'll do 1/2 of the road at a time and just kind of push traffic over to single lane configuration. That's happening. So this project begins this coming week and it should end sometime around the end of August and mid-September. Is the target date to finish that work out.
I'm not really clear on the delineation between UDOT and municipal road work.
Yeah, great,
How
great
is it
question.
that you ended up with this section?
So, even though it's labeled as Center Street, it is a state road. And so, UDOT has responsibility for maintaining and taking care of state roads and this is also known as SR 114. So it's State Route 114. And then cities in the states will take a look at the state roads within their boundaries. And they'll work out agreements for which road is still a state road and which road does the city want to take on responsibility for. And then the state doesn't agree on it.
I'm sorry, I'm asking so many questions, but I think the primary thing I mean, this is our neighborhood and this is the west side. Primary takeaway from the discussion from the neighbors and the people here in Provo is fix Geneva. We want actually 5 lanes like they do all the way up north in Orem. I mean, why is it that Orem got all the cool stuff? I mean, we would like to see that developed. We've got the temple coming in, we've got all of that construction, all of those neighborhoods that are just dying to expand. We now have sewer hookup for all of the west of Geneva development. We've got a lot of growth happening on the west side of Provo without the support and infrastructure of Geneva being that 5 lane, or I don't know what it is, how you designate that. I know it's 2 lanes both directions with a turning lane, and then you do have parking on both sides. So my goodness, that's amazing. And then it all comes to a dead stop at University Parkway. So I'm not sure what levers of power need to be pulled to make that happen.
Yeah,
But I can't imagine anybody not wanting to
Well,
continue that progress.
that's a great question, and I'm not an expert on the answer to that, but I can tell you from having worked in this, this realm, this sphere for the last 14 years, that no road project happens overnight. It begins with planning commission.
Oh, yeah, no, I'm just out to say,
Yeah.
that's the message to take back to your office.
I'll be happy to take that back. We're all in what's called Region 3 for UDOT. And the Region 3 offices are down in Orem.
Oh, that's.
There you
There you go, now we know why we got the good road.
But I'll certainly take this to them, but your voices are really the ones that get heard, not mine. And so if you really want to get somebody looking at something, what you need to do is call or email down to the Region 3 office and voice your concerns, and then they can take that to the planning commission and say, hey, let's have a look at this.
Thank you.
I have a question.
Yeah.
How do they contact the Region 3 office?
So it's really as simple as just Googling UDOT Region 3.
Okay.
The main number will come up.
Well, actually, letting us know that we're Region 3 is a good start.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll get that information out to the neighborhoods. Thank you.
You bet. I think the last thing I would mention is between Center Street and 1600 West right now, there are a few of the residents that park cars along the side of Center Street. When this project is finished, there won't be on-street parking anymore. And I had a question about that, and the answer I received was, it's always been zoned for no parking, but now they're going to begin enforcing. So, in case anybody cared. All right, any other questions? And if not, thank you for inviting me here tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Very helpful. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That was very helpful for that. So now we've got some planning items. Rachel, are you gonna be taking that on, or is?
We have, Sandy Bussio and Bowden Goulding.
Good, that's good.
Thank you.
That's the
They
event.
will be taking that on.
Okay, there you are.
You ready for it?
Yes, always. For new planning, you bet.
Hi, I'm Sandy Bussio. I'm the parking program manager for Provo City. And this is Gordon, he's the parking enforcement supervisor. And so we have a couple ordinances. One of them is language and one of them is amendments that we're kind of trying to look at and trying to go through the planning commission and the council. Sort of come to the neighborhoods to kind of see thoughts, I guess, and what's going on. And the first one is using streets for storage for trailers, RVs, single axle trailers, everything as such as this. Right now, how the ordinance is written, trailers, RVs, and boats are kind of in the same as a vehicle. So the problem, enforcement, and Bowden can talk to this, the problem that we have is we're getting numerous calls monthly of neighborhoods and neighbors that are seeing these types of vehicles out on their city street. All we can do is we can go out and we check the tires, making sure. By ordinance at this point, if they move 400 feet within a 72-hour time frame, the 72 hours can just keep going. And so they can actually store them out there. Again, all they have to do is turn it around and park it across the street. 72 hours starts again. They move it up, park it in front of their neighbor's house, the 72 hours starts again. And we're finding this is becoming more and more of an issue. And we're also finding that people are starting to live in the vehicles out on the city streets. And so there's really not a lot we can do, especially with these motorhomes. They park them, they drive around the block as soon as they see the parking enforcement officers come out and shop those tires. And then we start the time all over again, and it's becoming very frustrating for the neighborhoods. It's becoming very frustrating for parking enforcement. I say we get about 120 complaints for these types of issues that come in monthly. And you were saying 80 or 90% of them are RVs.
Absolutely, yeah, about between 75 to 80% of them are these type of RVs that are just being left out on the city streets. For that are people just don't want them in their yards or whatnot, or in the backyard, that they pull them out and they leave them on the street, so.
So with this ordinance, the new ordinance that we're trying to look at, and you can read it, is first of all,
do you want me-
boats.
Sorry, go back.
Boats, these ones are down just off the freeway. And so they're parking. This one actually, he chopped the tire. And he went back an hour later to take these photos for me, and by the time he got back, the truck around regarding them washed off the tires. And there's nothing we can do, knowing one thing, improving stuff is completely different. So that's what we're trying to keep off of the streets and have people store them on their property. So is what we're trying to do, and is how we've got kind of wrote the ordinance, is first of all, a trailer or a boat has to be parked in front of either the person who owns the home, rents the home, or is visiting that home. And so you will come out, we'll mark the tire. And if you like the boat, we mark it on Saturday morning, you take that boat out Saturday night, go down to Utah Lake, what have you, you come back on Sunday. Your 72 hours has still continued. You don't get to start all over again with that time frame. So we're kind of trying to compress that time frame. It has to be in front of your house. You can get a ticket, even though you leave for an hour or two during the day. You don't get 72 hours all over again. But we've also understand that people load and unload their RVs. They load and unload their boats, they load and unload their work trailers. We get that, and we're trying to work. So a couple things. You can get a 72-hour, right now, again, you can park there 72 hours. So if you take your trailer, boat, whatever, out of storage, park it in front of your house, to load it, clean it, do whatever you want with it, you still have the 72 hours that you have now. But especially on these types of trailers, if you're doing home renovations, if you're doing massive yard work, if you're doing something like that and you need more than 72 hours, we're also going to have a 7-day permit. All you need to do is, hopefully by the time this passes, we have it on our phone. You can download the app to get a 7-day permit that will be approved by Woodland or myself. Or you can call us, and that means that you can park these trailers in front of your home during these projects, again, for up to 7 days. Is there any questions on that so far?
My question is enforcement. You mentioned that, my question is about enforcement. You mentioned that, you know, like that when they wash the chalk off, is that gonna be, so are the, parking officers gonna be like taking a picture, like, no, we chalked this
Absolutely.
this day so that they can prove?
Yeah,
that
yeah,
that's
so
happened?
we'll be taking pictures, with our phones, to be able to prove that that vehicle is on that area, has not moved, or it has moved, and whatnot, so we have that visual proof.
Right,
So,
and when this ordinance, whenever this ordinance happens. So if like, somebody has an RV parked in front of my house, that's not my RV, they don't get 72 hours, it's once we call you, then that needs to be moved.
Right. Yep. Yeah, so it has to be in front of their house, the registered owner's home.
Or, you know, let's be fair, close proximity, you know, with your leasing an apartment and it's there. But we are having problems with people parking in front of your house, so we chalk it, so then they park in front of your house, then we chalk it, then they park in front of your house, then we chalk it, and then it comes back. We chase these vehicles. This one, the previous motorhome, we chased it from Sioux Circle all the way down to the food and care continuously for what, about 9 months.
The 72-hour thing that you mentioned, it didn't make sense, and please forgive me. You said that you chop the tires of a boat. They go out that Saturday, do their thing, come back and park it in the exact same spot. You're saying the 72 hours didn't reset.
Correct.
Okay, so how does that work for somebody that has a lawn care business? Their trailer's going out every day. They're working every day. How does that work? How do you say that? I mean, even though, and I'm pretty good at that with my trailer, I park it in the same exact spot. What are you doing about that? I mean, does that matter?
The theory being, we're trying to look at all, what we can do with everyone. The theory is if you own a lawn care business or something like that, you should be storing that trailer on your property, not on that city street.
And the truth is, it's mostly, I mean, I can attest to the fact that unless people complain, it's not really enforced.
Yeah.
I mean, they don't go out looking for people to cite in this, and I can tell you that with 100% confidence, because our area is a hotbed.
I concur, except in our neighborhood, we had a realtor come through our neighborhood and call the enforcement.
Well,
That's irritating. Is when realtors are like, oh, I don't like this, or they don't have this, or they're doing this, or.
But it's all complaint based, is what I'm saying, is you
It
can
is,
be
yes.
not in compliance, and as long as somebody complains, then you're fine, but truly, a city street is not a place to store your, it's not a place to store, it. It's not, it shouldn't be.
I did have a question about that, storing a vehicle on your driveway.
And that is an ordinance that's going in front of the city council, I believe, next
On the-
council
yeah, the
meeting.
20th.
That's with code enforcement, and so they deal with it on your driveway, on your property. We deal with it on the public street.
Interesting, because my neighbor said that enforcement told them that they had to get their car towed off of his driveway.
And again, that would be code enforcement. That's not parking enforcement.
Okay, so even though the car is licensed, it has to be towed?
Again, you'd have to, I don't know what code enforcement ordinance you're speaking of or what the circumstances were there. So I don't want to speak,
Okay.
I don't want to speak about it because I'm not proficient in it. And like you said, we are complaint based. We have one, and if we're extremely lucky, 2 parking officers out at any given time in the city. We're staffing as well. It's not a priority, but again, when we get these calls, we will and do respond. Or he does. Okay.
Do you have a question?
I did, just on
I
that 7-day
apologize.
permit. That seems potentially a little short, depending on like the time frame, you know, the type of project you're finishing a basement. 7 days would be awesome to get that done, like, and, you know, is there a process for renewing that, like? You know, you get it for 7 days, you get it for another 7 days, or are you saying like 7 days is the hard limit and you're toast after that?
Well, right now it's 72 hours.
Yeah.
And then you're told after
Yeah.
that. This is 7 days, and then if you wait 72 hours, you can get another 7-day permit, but you can only get 6 of these 7-day permits per year.
Okay.
But again, and they can't run back to back. There's a 72-hour time frame in between them.
So really, they can't, because you could still be there for 72 hours. Or you can move
Yes,
it 400 feet.
yes, yes, you can. We're trying.
Phone and I know.
Yes.
We've been dealing with this for.
So, like I say, this is the best that we've come up now. The theory between the 400 feet and being able to park it in the same spot, as I'm sure you know, is if you're looking at your neighbor and you're on a different work schedule and you don't ever see that car move, then we go out and shop it, but then we find out this neighbor just works a different, like, graveyard. And so he's going to work and coming back and parking in the exact same spot, which he should be able to do. You're just not seeing it as an. So we're just trying to separate those RVs because they're not moving and using those bolts in those trailer houses and the town poles, you know, on a daily basis to go to work, school, or market.
So this doesn't apply to just single vehicles?
No, we're separating the two, between,
Yeah, we're separating that to help mitigate that.
okay. And this is the other one, this is an amendment. This is the one, right now, we have problems, I don't know, we have problems with vehicle, we had a couch on 5th North, 9th West, I forgot to add it to this one. These aren't vehicles, but they're being, for some reason, assigned to parking enforcement, and there's absolutely nothing we can do about them right now. The ordinance as it is written is more for yard clippings and such as that you can't have out on the sidewalk and you can't have out on the road. So we are trying to amend it, saying that any obstacle that blocks the sidewalk or the roadway in an unsightly or an unsafe manner, then it gives us another tool. We can call Public Works to see if we can get it removed. It gives us some way to get this type of stuff off the sidewalks. So again, that's why we amended that. We're trying to amend that code.
Because right now, nobody has the power to really do anything about that.
No, nobody. And because, you know, code enforcement, it's not on private property, parking enforcement, we can't even parking tickets to these
Yeah.
things, so
Right.
it just makes it a little difficult, so we just are trying to work to get these removed.
Get this thing.
Is there any other questions or concerns?
Yeah, I've got a question for Rachel.
Me, okay.
Go, Rachel.
Yeah, why don't we get red lines like this on every text amendment?
There should be.
We always see these things come in and it says text amendment.
So generally, when you're getting a letter about a new application, the whole ordinance has not been drafted yet. So there's no red line yet. But when it comes to the planning commission or the council for the legitimate legislative action, there will always be a red line version
Right,
of this.
so when you
But it
get
doesn't
the,
usually exist when the application is filed.
yeah,
They're in the process of developing it. They say that like, this is our intent and what we want to do, but they don't have the full draft ordinance at that
Right.
time.
yeah, so kind of how the process goes is you get that email saying, hey, a new planning application has been applied for, and you get that as soon as they apply for that planning application, like nothing has been done yet. They just, you get that notice, and you can always do a grandma request, you can contact me to see if there's documents. When you get, then you'll get a notice of the agenda for planning commission. Again, that's another heads up, hey, if you want information on this, let me know, or do a grandma request. And then when you get the staff report, which will come the week after the agenda comes out, that's where you get all the documents that will have all this information. But anything that you want beforehand, just let me know. A lot of times if it's citywide, it's not really on my radar as much as when it's District 3.
And I deal with documentation on a regular basis, and I
Right.
appreciate your explanation, but I really doubt that she was actually able to do a red line in 1 week and have it pass through her department.
I think that's quite possible.
Oh, yeah, oh, yeah.
It's usually only going to
So
like
you
a
guys
handful
could
of
do an
people.
entire red line on a write-up in 1 week.
Yeah,
We can in a week, and then it goes through the process, it goes through all of these
I just-
processes to get it passed, yeah.
It would be really nice to know, to get some heads up as to what is being planned on being modified, and even though
I'm
the,
not, again, this is a courtesy to have it come to this meeting to tell you what way in advance. So there's a lot of legal
Well, no, and
requirements
that's-
about how it's brought forward, and so there's notice before the council meeting. So this is just extra notice as a courtesy and to involve the neighborhood to get questions answered or and then unanticipated consequences brought up, those kinds of things.
Suggestions, ideas, thoughts.
Okay, one question
Mhm.
so can they still move it 400 feet every 72 hours? Or would this amendment make it so?
The other one, well, but see, it has to be in front of their house, so they can't
Right.
move it in front, that's how we're kind of.
So, but can they like move it around the corner of the house and move it to move it around the corner?
It's not
And
400
move
feet.
it back? It's not 400 feet. You know what I'm talking about? It's not 400 feet.
So
Would
see, yeah.
400 feet's an entire city block.
Oh, okay.
That's how we're trying to,
No concept.
put it in front of their house.
Okay, cool. So they can move it 400 feet, but then it wouldn't be in front of their house, would be in violation.
For that other one, the stuff left in the roads and sidewalks, who is, it sounds like you aren't going to be enforcing that, you're hoping that that would be like public works, or who's actually gonna be like enforcing this when this amendment be ready to be passed?
No, this is just an amendment, so right now, if you look, it is Public Works that does it all. But before, it pretty much just had your yard debris. So we have added, any other obstruction which shall render such highway or sidewalk unsafe or unsightly, or shall interfere with travel thereon to be enforced by Public Works. You know, just kind of add more, we could figure out, this is, I really like how this is worded. We worked really hard, trying to, because we couldn't, lumber and trash, because not, what I see as trash, you may not. And so we just, any obstruction, then it can be enforced as the yard debris.
Or my question is more just like, if people have an issue with this, who should they be reaching out to? And it sounds like that's public works, right?
311.
311 and then they'll get started.
The Public Works was always in charge of this, it sounds like, but we're just amending it so that it can cover more things.
Things, and it gives us someone to call, because I don't know if you guys were all on the ditch witch paper, I don't know, that was kind of we're in you guys' district. Both of us are in District 3, so
Are we talking
when I
about
say
it?
we,
Talking about the-
Yeah.
Yeah,
The
Oh.
pictures, yeah.
so anyway, there was a ditch witch and it was in the road, well, it doesn't have a license plate. Code enforcement, so we were trying to figure out who could help. And that's kind of what started this.
Any other questions for Sandy and Bowden?
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
I do have a question.
Got a question online.
Question online.
Okay, I haven't been able to get into the Zoom meeting. I just was able to join, so if you covered this, I'm terribly sorry. What about the scooters that are the electric scooters that are blocking sidewalks? And the electric bicycles that are being left blocking the sidewalks on a continuous basis?
Yeah, that's a good question.
That, call 311 and we can call Bird. They should be off of the sidewalk. They shouldn't be parked at the level and we can, get them moved. They're supposed to have a crew that comes and does that regularly. I've been in contact with Bird several times over the last week or two. And so hopefully you'll see an improvement. But again, call 311 so we can get those again moved off and the sidewalks.
This has been a constant issue on our street, especially. And I've almost been ran down by some of these electric scooters that are the rental scooters. And then they do block the sidewalks. And unfortunately, there's been different times that it's during the nighttime and nobody seems to be able to do anything.
Like I say, if you call 311 and give a concern, they're called call cases. And we will get that, but I need to know where it's at, where the address is, so I can pass that on to the representatives from Bird, and they're the ones for those rental scooters. As far as driving on the sidewalks and such as that, I know the legal department is trying to pass an ordinance for that prevents and works with that as well. So we're all kind of trying to work together to see what we can do to help solve those issues.
I appreciate that. I myself am handicapped and there are other residents in my neighborhood. And our question is, if one of us was to get hit and damaged, who is also liable for those damages? If we're to be hit by one of those students, is there any kind of an insurance that they purchase? Or if it's a student that has a private one and they're on the sidewalk, are they liable?
I can't speak to the private one with the student, but I do know that the Bird, they do have an insurance that's on file with the city because of those issues and such. But yes, there is an insurance. And that is
good to know.
I'm not sure what would happen on the private ones.
And I literally had that experience today. I went to walk out my driveway. I went to go out to my car and I almost had a student run me over with one of the electronic scooters.
Nancy?
And our street is a bike lane and they're not using that for the scooters.
Say they should be using that for the scooters as those bike lanes.
And the scooter should be parked on the street, not on the sidewalk.
Correct.
Because it is considered
Yeah.
a motorized vehicle.
Yeah.
Nancy, just as a curiosity, and that just because I do this for a living. Maybe you should quote this your degree and passability with ADA 240. Check the code on that. That determines passability. So then you're not rewriting a standard, you would just rewrite that. Does that make sense?
Yes, I'll look at it, but who enforces the ADA?
Nobody,
So-
it just standardize the verb.
Oh, okay, yes,
Standardized
yes.
verbiage, because when you say on your amendment, safe and unsightly, well, then who's the judge there? Come on, I had a rock on there. Come on, that's ADA sets standards. for what is safe and.
Yes.
I do medical devices.
Oh,
So
that's right.
linking standards together and
Yes.
harmonizing standards is always my thing.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, check that out. ADA 240.
ABA 240. Yes,
Yeah,
thank you.
you
Thank
bet.
you very much.
Okay, do we have any other questions for Sandy and Bowden?
Also, I do have one more while I have you guys' attention. Also with the ADA law, we are having a large number of people parking across the sidewalks.
Or
And,
accessible locations, yes. Very
and
important.
blocking, and traffic enforcement does not work in the evenings or on the weekends. So how are we supposed to take care of, unfortunately, repeat offenders? Because they don't park there during the day, but park there overnight, and nobody will do anything with them.
You can call, police non-emergency at 801-852-6210. They do dispatch, parking officers, and they are in contact. When we have the staffing and we're training a gentleman right now, we'll work 6 a.m. to about 12:30 p.m. or a.m. I don't know what that would be, 12:30 at night. And so again, call police non-emergency dispatch. They do dispatch parking officers for parking violations and parking complaints.
Unfortunately, I have done that multiple times and was told there was nobody in parking enforcement.
I don't know what to tell you on that. Like I say, we have parking. They do work.
Set up case into 311, let's get, at night,
Yeah, but I would go 911 and then just say non-emergency.
yeah,
That would get their attention.
as long as dispatch, yeah, we're, like I said, we're
I
on.
don't
we're on
know
usually-
about that one. I don't think we should be telling people to call 911 for parking.
And they ask if it's an emergency and you just say non-emergency.
852-6210 will get you to the dispatch.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Okay, we have to it's past 7:15. We have to let Sandy and Bowden go. I can't keep staff after 7:15. Thank you very much.
Okay, so now I'd like to open it up for public comment and just hear if there's any comments from the neighborhood this right now. Is there anybody on Zoom that has any comments?
Did we have someone?
Somebody raise their hand?
Let's see. Maybe not. I just wanted to show really quick, going back to your comment, Brian, on this is the Neighborhood District Program website. If you go down and scroll down to District 3, I just want to make you aware, if you go to the District 3 Proposed Development Spreadsheet, this is every single time that we get a notice that something is going on in your neighborhood, let's say Lakewood, I add it to this spreadsheet and we have kind of where they're at in the process, what's going on. Let me find one that's got one more. Okay. So, and then you can kind of see what's happening, where they're at, what's the next step in it, whether or not they've had a neighborhood meeting.
Steve Shirley, Development, Geneva in the center.
And so what neighborhood is that?
Is it Fort Utah, I think?
Is that Fort Utah?
Yeah, is it Fort Utah?
I think it might be Fort Utah.
Yeah, it might be right, it might be Fort Utah, it's just right on that southwest corner.
Yes.
Hmm.
Hang on.
I can look it up right now.
Let's see where there is that one?
Try,
The-
Lakeview South.
It might be. Lakeview South or something.
Lakeview South, maybe Sunset.
Sunset. Provo Bay.
We're trying all of them now.
Brian, it sounds like you might want to take the
Oh,
lead
yeah, I
on
think it might
that
be Provo Bay.
Geneva Road proposal.
What's that?
The Geneva Road, fixed.
Oh, you know what, it's gonna be at the top, because it's really.
You want me to take the?
Yeah.
We.
It'll
Oh,
get on
there.
the spreadsheet.
That first one is very.
There you go, yeah, that's
Okay.
something.
So it's row 3,
There
the
it is.
first one.
You got it on Provo Bay, okay.
There we go. So it's saying the status is it's going to council, the name of the project, the number of it, the address, kind of a summary of it. What's happening
It went to
next,
city council,
scheduled to go city council.
So like,
I think
was
it was
continued.
continued, so I need to
Yeah.
update that. But over here, kind of going to your point where you're saying, how do I know what's going on? If you click on here, it'll take you to the most recent agenda where then you can go find that item and you can read the staff report or the report of action and you can find information. And so it's kind of a way to kind of figure out what's going on in your neighborhood. We also have it for citywide. So if you go on to citywide and you can see, give it a minute to load. You can kind of see, let me see if I have any information on that one that Sandy just did. So this one for Sandy, this is the one that she was just talking about. If you go here to next actions, it'll take you right to that agenda. And the reason why I have it go to the agenda instead of just the staff report, because I'm not sure if you're interested in the staff report, public comment, or report of action, and all three of those will be put on here. But in that way, you can go on here, find that one you want, and then it'll have all those red lines and all that information. And so, and I update that weekly, so you kind of know what's going on. But if all those emails that the executive board members are getting, if it's confusing, if you don't know where to find this information, just go to that spreadsheet. And I've tried to put the information on there in one spot and you can find it by neighborhood.
Right, and Sean is kind of our expert in that. Brooke is handling Worthy School District, which I really wish they would come every week and or every meeting and let us know how the construction's coming along. I don't think we've had any issues with the construction lately. Has anybody had any complaints or concerns? There's still parking in the church parking lot that's gotta stop.
Okay.
There is starting to get really full.
Right.
Yes.
If you want the Provo School District to come to the meetings, just let me know.
Okay.
I won't put it on the agenda unless the executive board tells me to put it on the agenda.
Okay.
So
Is there
just let me know.
any other neighborhood concerns or plays that are happening right now? Wow.
Oh,
Not
oh,
a complaint or concern, but just to let you know, so I got in touch with Parks about using our matching grant money for the cement slab and a picnic table at the Lakeview. That one is called the green.
Maybe $500,000, right?
I don't know yet. Whatever the new green
right.
playground is, it's just off the West,
to the
yeah,
west, yeah.
yeah. Anyway, so I emailed the parks guy, he sent me to another parks guy, and then they're gonna work together, so we're just trying to find a time, he wants to meet me out there at the park, to have me show him kind of what our plan is, so that's kind of where we're at, so it's probably gonna have to be in next year's matching grant at this rate, because it's just, we're right up
Takes
against
a
the
while.
end of this year, if that
Well,
makes
you
sense.
know, Brooke, I told you.
Well,
once you get involved,
It turns out
out.
they have a life too, so they, anyway, but I am working on it, so that's where we're at on that.
Thank you, Brooke. Thanks for the update on that. Yeah, the grant program is a little bit nebulous still, and, you know, we.
Yeah,
Some training on that. Now,
Yeah,
we've
my
got-
apologies.
We've got a couple of activities coming up, right? Training. Don't we have a training for the executives on this?
we had a training 2 weeks ago on the matching grants.
The 25th,
That was
I
done
think.
for the executives,
Yeah.
executive board.
Mr. Meady, right?
And it should be accessible still.
Yeah, it's on the executive board Facebook
Okay.
group, the recording of it.
And
And
we're
slideshow.
recognizing that we're missing Becky tonight.
Yes.
She's running for city council, so she won't be joining us any longer at these meetings.
She can join as a resident of District 3, but she is no longer, she's taking a leave of absence from the board. We can't lean on her anymore. But she can
Well,
still participate.
And we won't say anything about supporting her in her efforts.
Correct. No campaigning at the neighborhood meeting. We
Okay.
do have our library people here for our next item.
So, oh, that's who you guys are, huh? Come on, now, we were supposed to be going outside for that, right?
Well, I think they're doing the first part inside and then we're gonna take a little field trip just out to the parking lot.
Excellent, glad to hear it. Sorry about that.
Problem.
Who's talking here?
Okay, hello everyone, nice to see you. My name is Mariah Lucas and this is Desert Wolford. The two of us are the outreach librarians at the Provo Library. And just to give you a heads up, we are going to take a field trip out so you can see our beautiful van that we get to drive around. And if you do that, you can take a free children's book for your kids or grandkids and a sticker. So get ready for that. So outreach is the coolest job at the library. We get to do so many different things. Our van has book carts that we can fill up and take around town to do local checkout. We also do story times at preschools and daycares. We go to teen centers, community centers, assisted living centers. We're going to the farmer's market over in Pioneer Park. We also do delivery for homebound patrons as well. We'll take library materials to them. Things that are happening at the library this summer, we've got the summer reading program, which is not just for kids, adults can participate as well. So you can get prizes for reading or doing activities, and they're good prizes too, so you should look into that. If you're interested in summer reading, you can go to our website, provolibrary.org, and there's like a scrolling banner at the top. It will just take you, there's a flamingo. Click on the one with the flamingo, and that will take you to summer reading. We also have children's take-and-make crafts that you can pick up. We have passive programs happening and changing every week. So there are activities that you can just go and do anytime while the library is opening. And that's in both like the adult and the children's side of the library. Our summer story time at the library is Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday at 12 p.m. We also have times for book babies, which is like our infant story time, and then Spanish story times as well. Tomorrow night we have a movie in the courtyard. They're showing The Sandlot at 9:30. So that will be fun. We also have the teen walking event on June 29th. That's really cool because the teens can come and it's like an after hours program. So the library is closed to everyone else except the teens and they get to just have a great time. Do you have a question about that?
Since it's pretty new, could you explain to us why Juneteenth you're closed?
Juneteenth, it's the newest federal holiday, so we're closed.
No, what does it mean? What is June? There are some people that still don't know.
Yeah, so Juneteenth. I don't know if I'm like qualified to answer this question, but as far as I know, when the Emancipation Proclamation was made, not like word didn't travel very fast. So Juneteenth celebrates when like the slaves were actually free. It might have been in Texas.
Yeah, it was in
Texas.
Good job.
I am librarian and you think I know everything, but I don't. But I know how to look stuff up, so that's why I have this job. Yeah, so we'll be closed June 19th for Juneteenth. If you'd like to know more about our programs happening, we have a calendar here for you guys that pass those out. You can also find it online from our website. Go to programs and then calendar, and that will take you to a comprehensive calendar of all of our programs. Okay, I'll let Desert go out and get our van ready, and then, do you wanna take this? Great, yeah, okay. And then I'll tell you some more things, and then maybe answer questions if you have them. So events happening near you, District 3. We've got Stories in the Park going on, every weekday in June and July. This is really fun, it's at 10 a.m. So we go to a different park in Provo every day of the week. Friday, we are in Lakeview Park at 10 a.m. And we also do our mobile checkout there, so we'll take the van and unload a bunch of books you can pick from and check out. You can also return books to us as well at the mobile checkout. We also are really hoping to get a mobile checkout in the afternoon to target maybe like some teen and adult audiences as well, not just children. So we're hoping to do that at the Lakeview Park. Check our calendar because it's not like set in stone, but June 21st is when we're hoping to do that from 4 to 6 p.m. Bring your library card or come get a library card, come see us. We are just the one branch of the Provo Library, so this is our way of like getting the books out to people around town, is using the van and mobile checkout, since our library is just stuck in one place, unfortunately, and it's not expanding. So the mobile checkout is how we combat that. And then we also do a program called Story Trails. So it's like a few sentences of a story on a yard sign scattered throughout the park. So like as you walk through the park, you can read the story. And that will be at Lakeview Park for 2 weeks starting July 10th. And you can check our calendar online. We have a new one every week of June and July. And if you have suggestions for how we can better serve your neighborhood, community, you can contact me. My email is Mariah, MARIAHL @ProvoLibrary.org. So Mariah L @ProvoLibrary.org. I'd love to hear from you. If you have any needs that we can meet through outreach, if you'd like to have us deliver books to you, or do mobile checkout near you, or go to a specific park, please let us know, because we want to do what is best for you. Do you have any questions about the library?
I have one
Yeah.
question. Can you tell them about your digital services you have where you can digitize old VHS tapes to digital? They have services. Also your studio downstairs where people can do podcasts and videos. Can you talk
Thank
a little
you
bit about that?
so much, because I did want to talk about that and I forgot to. So thanks for bringing that up. We have, like she mentioned, we have the equipment to turn like old home videos in like to digitize them. So you can do that at the library. And then the Basement Creative Lab is really cool. You can do so much there. You can go and like use a green screen and make videos. You can record podcasts. Like they have all sorts of equipment that you can check out and use as well, like cameras and GoPros and anything that you would need to take pictures or make a movie or make a podcast. It's super cool. And then we also have a lot of digital resources. The Libby app is the most popular one. If you have a library card, you can download the Libby app and check out ebooks and audiobooks right from your phone, which is awesome and very convenient. We also have a board game collection, and it's quite impressive. Like there are a lot of board games that you can check out. And you can find a list of those on our website. They're pretty popular, so if you find one that you want, you can just put it on hold like a book. And then we also have a new program starting called our Seed Library. So you can go and get seeds to plant a garden. And then we're hoping, this is the first year we've done it, but we're hoping that when people harvest their fruits and vegetables, that they will save seeds and then donate them back to the library. So we are working on that. Yeah, any more questions?
And cooperate with the forum.
Yes, so if you have a Provo library card, you can use it in Orem and vice versa. We are not, like, the libraries are not connected, so you can't return materials that you check out from the Orem library to the Provo library and the other way around. But you can use the library card in both places. Or if you live in Provo, you can get an Orem card. You can have 2 cards, or you can connect to the 1 card to both libraries. Yes, we do have an agreement with them. Anything
Thank you.
else? Okay,
So can we adjourn then from this
a
meeting
good
to
idea.
outside? And let's just adjourn so we
Okay.
can.
we will adjourn the meeting.
We're taking out.
All right, so we would love for you to come out and see the band. It's very fancy and magical. And we have books and stickers to give to you. So thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so is the meeting adjourned,
The
Brian?
meeting is adjourned.
Okay, great.